Hey my frugal friends, wagwan. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Frugality is life. Thank you for stopping by. Please make sure you are subscribed and that you have hit that notification bell so you can be notified as soon as I upload a new video. Please remember to like and share this video. And so I know you've made it into our frugal family. Please leave a $sign in the comment section below. If you are new here, please go back and watch my last video where I covered an introduction of myself and why I've started this YouTube journey. So, what are we going to cover today? First, we're going to look at tracking your expenses, variable, fixed. We're also going to make a note of monitoring and knowing when your salary hit the bank. And we're going to look at the different types of fixed expenses as well, and then how we categorize our expenses and what we spend our money on. Okay, so before any further ado, let's jump in. Please remember that for this channel, know that you're just starting out and you are going to be on this journey. You don't need much to be successful. All you need is a book and pen and your calculator. And please remember that I am a low content author on Amazon, so you could find this and other notebooks that you can use for this exercise. And throughout our journey, you'll be able to use these to record your journey and to log everything that we're going to discuss. I will link that in the description below. So today I have a pad here for our weekly plan, but we're going to use this as an exercise or as a method of tracking our expenses. So what I will say that if you are just starting out on this journey, the first thing you should do is get an idea of what you spend your money on. In order to have an idea on what you spend your money on, I would say start tracking just in a day, in a week, in a month, what you're spending on. Don't be too concerned with thinking about a budget at this point in time. Just go about your regular day, and as you buy something, as you spend your money, you make a note of when you spend the money and how much and on what. This way, when you create a budget, you'll exactly know what you're spending on. You will see your spending habits and you will be able to categorize your expenses. Without having this idea, you kind of run the chance of either over or under budgeting what you can spend or what you spend on. So I would say once you decide you're going to start this journey, do that exercise first. Just go about a normal week and do your usual habits. Just make note of these. So I'm going to show you this as an example. So we're going to use this weekly plan notepad because it already has the day set out to make it easy for us to kind of monitor that. So say, for example, we're going to take a week, any week, the week you decide, hey, you know what, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to want to start a budget. So this week, you're going to start by tracking what you spend your money on. So say this particular week, you're going to make a date. So for example, I'm going to say February 14th is when you're starting. So say February 14th was the Monday, right? So this is the Monday and you're going to track right through the week what you're spending on. So if the first thing you do in the morning when you get up or you're on your way to work, you stop at and by the way, I must remind everyone that I am from Canada. I live in Toronto. And so a lot of these places that I may note down is places that are in Toronto. If you're watching from the US, you may have similar places. You may have the exact same places. But just please take a note. Like this is also an example. So you are going to make it applicable to your life and what you spend on. So for example, I got up February 1st. I'm heading downtown. I work downtown Toronto. And so I'm going into my job. And my first thing I would do is, you know what, I have to get up super early, so I didn't get to make my coffee at home. And so I'm going to stop and I'm going to get a coffee. So first thing, I'm going to just make a note. I already have the date note down. So I'm going to say I stop at Starbucks and I bought a coffee, maybe a bagel or something. And that came up to $15. This is all examples, okay? I have no idea what things cost at Starbucks because I'm very frugal, so I don't go to Starbucks. But in any case, if you're someone who loves Starbucks, that's fine. You're going to make that note, hey, I spent $15. So it's about lunchtime and you didn't take a lunch to work. And so now your coworkers are like, hey, let's go out for lunch. Let's go. So at lunchtime, say you went to Tim Hortons and you bought your lunch. And the lunch is, okay, Tim Hortons is cheaper than Starbucks. So say your lunch came out to $10, whatever that is, a wrap and a coffee. And then it comes around, you know, later the day and you may say, hey, I'm going to stop into Winners on my way home and see what they have. I see a pair of boots and it's $30, right? So this is how you'll track and say, okay, you know, that's all you spend that day. And on the Tuesday you get up and again, you're going into work and you didn't make a coffee at home. And so you're going to stop again at Starbucks and you're going to buy same thing you bought yesterday, $15. Today you brought your lunch, so you're not, or your office had lunch, and so you didn't buy lunch. But later in the evening, you decide, hey, you know what? I'm out of groceries. I'm going to go to the grocery store, and I'm going to buy some groceries. No, I don't know about you or where you are, but groceries in Toronto, very expensive. I'm sure everyone is seeing that now, that everything is really expensive. So say you bought your groceries for the rest of the week, and it came up to maybe $120, right? This is kind of the example of what you're going to do, and you're going to track right through the week. So let's fill in some other items that you would spend on throughout the week here. And again, remember, this is an example. You're going to do that for your own life, whatever you spend on, right? So say I didn't spend anything on a Tuesday, and on the Wednesday comes around, I went to Dollarama and I'm going to spend $15. That's all I did for that day. Say on the Thursday, I went into Walmart and whatever I bought into Walmart came up to $85. And then I also went, and when I got home, I realized, you know what, I'm an Apple user, so I can't find my charger anywhere. And so I'm going to just order a charger online. So Apple. Okay. Now, again, this is an example because I would never just go and order the charger of Apple. I'll probably go on Amazon or I'll go to Best Buy or somewhere to buy it. But for the example, you're going to buy this online. And so you spend, I don't know what chargers cost with that, but I'm going to put $25. And then Friday comes around, and Friday, you know what? I'm a person who loves to get my nails done. So I'm going to go get my nails done. And for anyone who lives in Midtown Toronto, I go to this place called Davisville Nails. They're really good. And I usually get a French manicure. And so it comes out to, say, $45. That's all I spent. Saturday came around and, hey, I want to go catch a movie. So I went to Cineplex and I catch a movie. And say it came up to $25, whatever else I bought, probably some popcorn or something. And on Sunday, it was a chill day. I didn't spend anything. I kind of stayed home, so I didn't spend anything. So what you're going to do now, say you've done this for the week. What you're going to do is you're going to summarize this to see what have I spent the whole week. Because no, it's Sunday evening. I have no idea what I spent the whole week. I'm going to take a look at what did I spend on? Like, I need to know. So I'll go and I'll say, hey, I'm going to put Starbucks. And I'm going to look and I'll be like, oh, I went to Starbucks 2 days. Okay. And I spent $30 this week on Starbucks. That's huge for me. That's a lot. And then I went to Tim Hortons and I spent $10. And then I went to Winners. It was only one time during the week, and I spent, I hope you can see this, I'll put this up more, and I spent $30. And I'll just write up here for the purposes, so just make sure you can see. I went to the grocery store. And I spent $120. And this is how you're going to do. And then you're going to, after you've written out everything, what did I spend online? I spent $25. You're kind of going to write everything out and categorize it. So when I look at this, we're going to get back to this after I show you how to categorize and different categories that I actually use. And if they help you, you can either make your own, or you can work with the same ones if it's applicable. But I'm going to kind of show you how to categorize this. But at the end of the week, you kind of add up everything that you've spent over the week, and then you're going to categorize your spend. Now you can do this for 1 week, 2 week, or a whole month, just to get an idea of your habits. And then you can see, because then you will see, hey, you know what? I went to Starbucks 2 times this week, or 3 times, or 4 times. Hey, I got to change that because I'm spending so much money. 2 times I went, look, at a total of $30. So you kind of get to see your habits, and you're able to look through your habits and see what you want to change. And this will help you to categorize and then start budgeting your expenses. So let's take a look at categories. So I'm just going to flip this over, and I'm actually going to use this side here for us to talk about the different categories that may exist. So remember, disclaimer, this is not a financial advice channel. This is just what I do in my daily life. So please ensure you do your research and do what is best for you. Okay, with that out of the way, let's jump in. So let's go into the categories that I use. So I use housing. And in housing, for example, is like my rent. It could be your mortgage. AGE. It could be your mortgage. Could be your property taxes. It could be like your maintenance cost if that's separate for your house. Sorry, cost. And then I have transportation. And this could be my car insurance, gas. If parking, if you take the bus, it could be public transit. Okay. Then utilities. And this could be your water, your hydro, your hydro slash electricity. If you have heat by a different source, it could be your heat, whatever. You get the gist. Then I have savings. And in Canada, we have the TFSA, which is a tax-free savings account. We have a RRSP, which is a registered retirement savings account. And then if you have any other types of savings. And just for me, I have other types of savings that I do. I have one that I set up like a direct debit, so as soon as my paycheck hit the bank, a certain amount is drawn out, a fixed amount every single time. I get paid bi-weekly, or 2 times for the month, and so each time that is pulled out automatically before I even know that my paycheck is there. So you also have sinking funds and emergency funds. Okay. Then there is personal care. And that's like my nails, the gym. It could be like your hair, massages, whatever you do for your personal care. And then there's shopping. And shopping is like you're shopping for your groceries. It's clothing. It's online shopping, whatever you may buy online. It could be anything else that you will spend your money on. That's shopping. Then I have a miscellaneous category, but you have to be very careful with this category because this could get out of hand very quickly. So I would say if you're putting away a certain amount for that's miscellaneous, please ensure that you go back each time and recategorize this category, because if you put something, for example, in here like, hey, you know what, for miscellaneous this week I'm gonna budget $20, and you end up spending it on, say, fast food, or whatever you end up spending it on, maybe it falls into another category here. But this could be a huge category, depends on like what you use this money for. And then I have a debt category. So if you don't have any debt, of course, it's zero. But if you have debt, you can put those here, which is like you have a car loan. I consider that debt. Do you have credit card debt? Do you have a line of credit? Then you list all of those, and those would be your categories, right? So if there's other categories that you think, I just like to keep this really, I mean, you could have tons of categories, but I like to keep this tight in the amount I create and just find some allocation in here for everything I spend my money on. Okay, so let's jump back to the front page here where we were talking about tracking your spend. So when you get back to here, what you would want to do while you're tracking your spend is like you want to categorize it. So here, you notice now is shopping. You know, your grocery store run is also shopping, but it's your groceries. Starbucks, you know, is food. Tim Hortons is food. Winners, it's like shopping for clothing or whatever you bought there. So you categorize it, and then once you have your categories, it's easy to make your budget. So let's jump on in to making a budget. Let's touch that a little bit. Actually, before we touch that, let's talk a little bit more. Like, these were more of your variable expenses, but of course you have fixed ones, like that would fall into like some of these categories here. Like, of course, your rent or your mortgage may be fixed. Your phone may be fixed because the set amount that you pay every month, it doesn't change. Your insurance may be fixed. Your internet may be fixed. Those things may be fixed expenses. And so with those expenses, you want to ensure that you log them and you make note of when the due dates are. So just a quick example here. You may say your rent is $1,000, and the due date is, say, the first of every month, right? And then you may say your phone is, I don't know, $200, and it's the 8th of every month when it becomes due. Insurance the same, you log that, and you make note of when these become due. The reason why you do this is because when you're doing this, you need to make sure you kind of map these with your income and when that money hits the bank. If you get paid on the first every single month, then you have to ensure that your rent is paid. Like if you're living paycheck to paycheck type of life and that's what you can afford, then you want to ensure that this is the first thing that gets paid. If you get paid on the first, your rent is due on the first, you got to pay that first. So it helps you to prioritize when and how you pay your bills, and that is very, very essential. Now, I can make a whole video on that, but I just wanted to touch that you need to know when you get paid in order to ensure that you're paying the high priority expenses first and the low ones last, according to how you get paid. So I'm going to do another video on that, but I just wanted to touch on that before we get into creating your budget. So let's look at creating the budget. And this is sort of a simple format that I use to do it. And sometimes, to be honest with you, I create the budget and when I don't write the actuals until I'm paying it out. So I will show you, because usually I budget every single paycheck, 1 or 2 paychecks ahead. And so when I get paid, I know I just sit down. Usually I like to do that on Friday or Saturday morning with my coffee. And I just sit and pay all my bills that are due. But let's jump into like a quick format that you can create to do that. I'm going to turn this way in order to kind of give you that example. So remember now, before you start this, you write all your balances down, like where you're starting. Know that you've tracked everything, you've tracked your expenses, you know what you spend on, you've categorized everything. Know you are ready to make your first budget. So you have your balances done. Say you're starting, okay, you know what, in say debts, you have credit card 5,000, and say you have maybe that's one card number 1. You may have card number 2, that's $2,000 you're saving. Maybe you have in the first one, maybe it's this a TFSA, and maybe you have, I don't know, $5,000 in this one. Maybe you have $20, maybe you have $10, whatever you have, you're going to make that note. And all your savings accounts, what you have, you're going to make a note of all your debts. Okay. And then quick format that I can kind of show you here. You have a lot of budget templates that you could get, like free off Etsy, or $1 for each page. You can buy a page, you can photocopy it, and you can do what you need to do, or you can make your own. This is my example that I kind of use, and then I'm not really very strict in my format, but as long as I get the information down, I will be going on to my Amazon account, and I will be making a book in sometime in the near future pertaining to templates to use for budgeting, but stay tuned for that. For right now, we're starting from scratch right here now, and so we just want to get an example of how we are going to do that. So let's do a nice heading that says paycheck, and based on where you are in the world, you may spell that differently. Budgeting, right? And so I like to put my expenses on one side, and I like to put income on this side. And for my expenses, well, let's start with the income. So for example, I like to have like a description of what it is, and I like to put the amount, So if you have multiple streams of income, go right ahead and drop all of them here when you're doing it. But if you have one, say it's just your regular paycheck. So let's just say number one, and it's just your paycheck, and say per month you get $2,000. You drop that there, and that is your only income. It is what it is. That is it. Okay. Then you're gonna go to your expenses and you're gonna list those. So I like to say, like, I like to put like headings like my fixed expenses. Like I like to subcategorize this in here, but you don't need to do all of that. You can just list them. But I like to do fixed expenses, and I like to do the amount, the budgeted amount, and the actual. And then there is, I usually get this to be a total, so whatever that is, I will total that up. I'll total up my income here. So say my fixed expense for this month is just my rent, and say I'm saying it's $1,000, and that's all the fixed expense I have, so it's gonna be $1,000 here. Same here, my income is only that, so it's gonna be a total of $2,000. Okay. Then I go into my variable expenses and I list them here. Oops, expenses, and I list them here. Again, I do a description, the budget, and the actual, so you can do that same thing. Okay. And we got a variable from before, so maybe it's your hydro, maybe it's your internet, and you add those. So budget, say my hydro is $100, and say my internet is $50, right? Then I like to add, like, you could put everything else going down, but sometimes I like, depends on the length of my paper. I probably like to put my savings here. And then I have my sinking funds, which I'm gonna go do a whole video on sinking funds, but for the purposes of this one, I'm just gonna total it to be $100. And then emergency fund, I'm gonna put another $100. And my TFSA, I'm just gonna say it's 50. I'm gonna contribute, and then whatever else you have, you can list them down there, and then you again do a total. Right, so total. So this is 250. Sorry, I'm just going fast here, so it's not as neat and tidy, but you get the idea. And then you're gonna also put your debts. So debts, again, description. Let me just make sure you can see this here. I'm going to start out of the way a little bit. Push this up a little bit. So description, budget, and amount, or actual, sorry. And say this debt is, because this is says your credit card, and you're gonna pay $200 on here, and that's all for this paycheck that you're gonna pay, and so you're gonna total, again, it's $200, right? So at the end, what I like to do is I like to go in and I do my total income, which is $2,000, and then I minus all my expenses, right? So I had fixed, and that was $1,000. I have variable, and that was $150. I have savings, and that was $250. And I have debts, and that was $200. Okay. So what I'll do is add all of these. So 1,000 for 5. What's that? 1,000. Let's do the calculator. because my brain is tired. I'm filming this on Friday after a long work week. So that's $1,600. That's my total. And so the net of this is $400. What's left? So that's what I have here. But usually I do a zero-based budget. And a zero-based budget just means that I pay everything out. And so when I subtract my expenses from my income, it's zero. Always zero, because anything I have left, I reallocate it either into savings, into variable expenses, which would be, you know, whatever it is. But usually if I know I pay all my expenses and I'm good, then what I'll do with the balance is I will put it into my sinking funds or my emergency funds. It will be reallocated somewhere, so I will never have an amount left over. It is all like it all end up somewhere, so it's always going to be zero. So that is what a zero-based budget is. So yeah, so now to recap everything that we talked about here, we talked about tracking your expenses. And this is just you. Hey, you're gonna go about your regular life and you're gonna track everything you spend on, and then at the end of the week you're gonna like summarize that. You're gonna add everything up. You're gonna categorize it. We did talk about the different categories that I use, which are here. Feel free to take a screenshot of this and try it out, or adjust it to reflect your expenses and the categories that you want to use. And then we talked about briefly about fixed expenses and when they're due, such as your rent, maybe your phone, your insurance, whatever those are that are fixed, that come out the same time every single month, and they're the same amount. That you need to monitor those and make sure that you monitor when your income comes in, so you have money to pay these. And so these would be high priority items based on when that income comes in. And of course, as I said, I will do a separate video on that. And then of course we talked finally about doing a budget. So feel free to take a screenshot of this. I mean, it's not the neatest, but you get the idea of where I'm coming from. And then we will discuss more about like zero-based budgets, etc. in future videos. But this is a starting point for you that you could use. And as I said, you can get templates off Etsy, and you can get other books of Amazon that actually have these templates that you're just able to fill out. And as I alluded to, I will also be making in the near future a book that has templates. So it's going to just be a book with the sheets that are already pre-filled with the headings for you to fill out, and then you will be able to get those. I will let you know when that is done. You'll be able to get those on Amazon, because I'm a Amazon low content creator, and so I have books like these. My ideas are worth millions, and a lot other books available there. I will link them down below. So thanks again for watching this channel. As always, bye for now, stay frugal, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.